Now, by the way, those of you that are excited about what I'm teaching you about winter physiology, what you're seeing here under those caps are bees that will live 4 to 6 months. What's up everybody? David Burns here with another beekeeping video today. I'm excited. I want to share with you today some cool things that will help you with your beekeeping endeavors. Today we're going to take a look at what to do with the cappings that you cut off, the wax that you cut off your honey super frames. I'm going to show you how I clean it, and then how I melt it down, how I make molds, pour it into molds, and how I make candles out of it. So I'll show you what to do with that. And the other question this time of the year that many of you are facing is, how do I store the honey supers, the frames that I extracted? Because if you're not careful and you store them incorrectly, oh my gosh, bugs, varmints, critters, mold, mildew, they'll be ruined for next year. So I'll give you the tips on how to what to do with your wax and how to store those honey supers. We're going to also start the day off this time a little differently with coffee time. In front of the coffee French press is our book. I want you to get this book because it has a lot of good first-time beekeeping tips into it. It's been endorsed by great people like my friend John Zavishlak at the University of Arkansas, Dr. Gene Robinson at the University of Illinois, and so it is a good book for new beginners. You can get this on Amazon or buy it from our website and we'll autograph it for you. Backyard beekeeping. So if you're starting out beekeeping next year in 2021, that would be a good book for you to put your hands on. We'd love for you to get that. Coffee time today. If you don't want to enjoy coffee time, by the way, is a bearded beekeeping old man telling you about life experiences and how to make your life a little bit better. Just coffee time, talking to you, enjoying this beautiful morning and sharing some thoughts. So, but if you don't want to listen to coffee time, you want to jump right into the video of beekeeping stuff. I hope you don't do that, but if you have to, here's the timestamp right here. You can jump ahead and get into the beekeeping stuff. But today, time to push the French press down and get that coffee coming my way. I want to talk to you today about one of the things that I have struggled with a lot when I look at other people and sometimes myself, how quick we are to judge people. We are living in a time when it's really easy to judge others. When I think about the world that I live in, earlier before when I was setting all of my scene up here, I was looking up at the sky and the trees and all, and I saw the moon, and I saw a contrail of a jet that flew over my house, you know, and the moon and the tree early this morning, and it was just beautiful. And I thought to myself, you know, I am such a small, I'm so small compared to what's on this planet, not to mention what's in the entire universe. I'm just such a small creature. And then I thought about, you know, I've been to several countries in my life. Every time I go to a different country, I learn things, you know, I try to learn their language a little bit, and I try to learn the culture a little bit. And then I thought about all the countries I've not visited and all the remote places of our world that I've not been to and I've not seen. And I thought, you know, I'm missing out on so many things on the planet. You know, I've never been underwater, like a mile underwater, to see the beautiful things that are in the ocean underneath, you know, what we see. Just, that's a beautiful ocean, but all the creatures below the ocean and the rock formation, the core, I mean, it's just, think what's under the ocean that we've never seen, most of us. And then think about parts of remote places in jungles and deserts, and the creatures that are in all those different kind of ecosystems. I've never seen that, and for the most part, except, you know, on YouTube videos or National Geographic, you know, I've seen pictures and all. But I thought, I'm so small of a creature. I mean, I know my property really well. I mean, I'm looking at something behind me. Somebody said, turn the camera around so we can see what's behind you. They said it might be a busy city street. It might be buildings. It might, whatever it is. And so I'll turn the camera around in a little bit and show you what I'm looking at here. You'll be surprised. But in my little world, I know it really well. We have developed a way of judging people in order to be safe. You know, like I've heard people say that way back in the beginning times of man, that people had to quickly assess somebody, you know, maybe from a different region that came into their area. They had to be able to look at their face, and they had to judge whether they were going to harm them or whether they were being helpful. And so we do make those kind of judgments. Like if you see a snake, oh my gosh, there's a snake. Is it venomous? You judge whether or not you're going to be harmed. So that kind of judgment is a survival instinct where we use judgment to protect ourselves. And I don't know any way around that. I think it's healthy. You know, when you're driving, you're making judgments of, is that car going to pull out in front of me? That's a judgment of, oh my gosh, he is. You know, what are you doing? That's a way to protect ourselves. And so with people, though, we don't really have to do that a lot, but I think we still sometimes do. If somebody knocks on your back door that you don't know, you start to judge. You start to look at things to determine, are you safe? Are they going to charge in? Are they trying to sell you something? And you're making these rapid judgments. We make quick judgments. That's the danger, I think. We make quick judgments based on, many times, false information. And we make one judgment, and we make that, whatever we judge that person to be, and it's usually negative. Oftentimes, most of the time, it's negative. And it is a way for us to always relate our judgment to that person. For example, if we see somebody that becomes angry, and we see this person, like I've seen it, I've seen mothers in a grocery store yelling at their children, sit down in the cart, don't stand up, I'm not going to tell you again. Instantly I think, that's an angry mom. That mom is an angry person. I think of her as angry. And if I were to go to somebody and I would say, hey, I need help mowing my yard. Can you come over and grab the weed eater? You do some weed eating, I'll do the mowing, and we'll get this knocked down in a day or two, you know? And because we live on about 4 or 5 acres. And if they said, no, I can't, well, it'd be easy for me to judge them wrongly and say, well, you know, they're selfish. They don't want to help me. They're a selfish person. And so when we see people that do things like that, and we judge them, and we automatically just call them an angry person, a selfish person, or an unkind person based on one action and one expectation of ours, isn't that sad? Because just like the world, just like our planet is so beautiful in parts of it we've never looked at, we can look at one part of our planet, the recent storm that went up the East Coast, an earthquake, you know, anything that's negative about our planet, we can look at that and go, oh, you know, the world is going to pot, you know, the world is terrible. We see rioting going on in the country, and we do see things that are upsetting, and we think, oh, our whole world, our whole planet, our whole country, just, you know, one judgment. But when we do that, wait a minute, there may be rioting, there may be earthquakes, and there may be forest fires and all that. But the world, our planet, is still beautiful. We've just taken one thing and turned it all into negative. Like we would take one judgment of an individual and say, that one judgment, that one thing I saw them do, they are a bad person because of that one thing. But think about it. The one thing the person did, okay, they had a bad day. They did one wrong thing. They made one bad thing, or in our mind, they were a bad person. But are they? Of course not. All of us are like that. We have those bad moments when we can't help a friend mow his yard, when we can't keep our cool when the kids are driving us crazy, and we lose it. It all happens to all of us. It doesn't make us a bad person. So think about the next time you're starting to judge somebody and it's because of something you've observed, something they didn't do, something they did that was kind of, you know, out of sorts or something. Think of all the good that they are. You know, they were once somebody's little baby, you know, they were once somebody's son or daughter, and now they're a grown-up individual that you're having trouble with. They're a special person. There's something very unique about them. Now they may be a mother or a dad. They're at work. Maybe they're a fireman or a policeman or a doctor or a factory worker. They're contributing important things to life. They have a lot of things that you don't see just because you've pushed them all out because of the one thing that you judged that they did was bad. But look at the person as we might look at the world, that the world is a beautiful place. And there are so many beautiful things that we can't see, that are unknown to us. And when you see somebody that you want to judge quickly and just write them off, it's a terrible person. Think about, wait a minute, I saw one little glimpse of something I didn't like about them, but wow, there's got to be so many other things that I would really enjoy learning about this person, and that I can't just dismiss them because of that one thing. We live in a world where being negative and judging negatively is really what people are doing. And we've got to learn that when we do that, we're hurting ourselves, because we're starting to see only negative things, and that will make us negative. We need to start looking for the good. Look for the good in other people. Look for the good in our country. Look for the good in the planet. Start looking for the good. When you go into your beehive, you know, don't go in there and say, oh, I got stung. This is a mean hive. Bees have a stinger. That's what they do sometimes, you know. Look for the good. That this is a bee colony that's yours. You're enjoying it. They're making you some honey. They're pollinating plants. Even though that hive stung you once, think of all the plants that they pollinated. And now there's fruit and vegetables. See? Look for the good. So I have a small basement with my furnace and things in it, and I have this dehumidifier in here, and as you can see I keep it at about 57% humidity. And if you wanted to store your honey supers in this kind of environment, it would be fine, but you do want to freeze them first. And I put everything in here. It's not really one that we use for food or anything, but it's just one that we use to freeze things like this super right here. And as you can see, once I move some things around, I can stack about 10 of regular medium-sized supers in this it goes pretty far down there. And I can just stack them in here and freeze them for a couple of days. So look around. If you don't have this, look around and see if you can find something like a deep freeze, and you can just put your frames in here. This actually is a deep super that I used. And by the way, some of this still has honey on it. Let me show you this. So like in this case, this can be reused again. It's got bee bread over here. It's got some honey. And if you freeze honey, honey never goes bad being frozen. You can always put it back on a hive again. And once it kind of gets thawed and the bees will warm it up, they'll eat it. But today we got to get our wax ready. And to do that, what I've done is I've just saved some cappings over the last extraction that I did, and these are just what I've shaved off of the honey supers. I'm going to put them all in here, and then I'm just going to fill it up about halfway with water, and then I'm just going to roll up my sleeves. Now when you do this, you might start thinking, oh man, this is so much work, I don't know if I want to fool with this. But remember the final product. It's really cool, a natural product from the hive that you're working on. So now we're going to strain the water out of the wax, and I'm just going to use the same honey filter, the honey strainer here. It's a 200 micron, I think, 200 to 400 micron. And so I'm just going to put it over my sink like this, and we'll see how it goes. Most of the water is going to go right through my strainer. That's good. Yep, I got most of the water out. This particular sink goes to a pit that has a pretty tough grinder that grinds up things that go through before it goes into my septic tank. So I don't have to worry about wax going through here, but you might have to if you don't have that on your property. Okay, so it looks great, and you might think, oh, I'm just going to go ahead and melt this down, but I would encourage you, let's wash it out 2 more times, and let's do the same thing, squeezing it, and look at the water dripping out of the bottom. So I've actually washed it out about 4 times now, and as you can see, it's gotten real powdery, just like I like it to be, and that's going to make it melt down very easily. Okay, so now I take a bottom board, as you can see, a well-weathered bottom board, and ironically, you know, typical sink, and look how this fits, you know, right against the edges on both sides. It's just perfect, isn't it, to fit into a sink like this. And now I'm just going to just spread out the wax onto this screen bottom board. Filming with one hand, I got a little bit on the floor. I'll pick that up in a minute, but you can see how this screen allows us to spread it out, like, you know, and start kind of seeing what we have in there, any kind of funny things, like there's a piece of string, and this will allow more of the water to leave the wax, drip through it, and you keep going out here, and sometimes, you know what, sometimes I come out here and I'll actually leave this for a day or two. Now be careful when you're doing this. You don't, this screen is only 1/8 inch hardware cloth. A lot of wax is going to fall through if you vigorously, you know, go to grind it, but it's certainly okay to let it sit and kind of just shift around some of the more top pieces like this, but just don't, you know, start smashing it through the screen. So some of you that have probably seen my YouTube videos from long ago, you've probably seen this baby in my pictures. It's my electric skillet that I picked up at Walmart for about 50 bucks. Got a pretty nice thermostat. You can turn the heat up or down, adjust it real well. Basically, it's just a big pan that fits on these heating elements, and pretty convenient. And you can see it's dedicated just to wax because it's toast, you know. It looks gross, but it's just a bunch of wax. It's on everything. And here's what wax looks like after it's really dried out. Look at that. Yeah, but we're going to combine some over there that we just have processed, and it's still got moisture in it. I'm going to put it all in here for the fit and just start melting it down. See what happens. Okay, so once I run the wax through this shirt cloth filter, it's going to go in this bucket. I'm not going to let it get hard in this bucket. Instead, this is just to give me a way to strain out impurities. This is a real beeswax mold, and we'll put some of our better wax that we make in here. Here you can see the darker impurities in the wax, and I'm pouring the purer wax, letting it just float above the darker impurities. You can see it's starting to get solidified, and this is interesting. It looks so delicious. Looks like we could almost drink that like eggnog, but it's actually wax. Okay, I hope that was helpful, knowing what to do with those honey supers once you've extracted them, and how to handle the wax. That was good, wasn't it? I got a few more things to show you that we're excited about right now. Once again, on sale are the winter bee kinds that we invented. Look at all that delicious food that's in there for bees for the winter time. And here's their bee opening. They go in and out during the winter, and they'll even do it on days that are still pretty cold so they can take a potty break. Instead of going all the way down to the bottom board and going out, they'll never do that. And it's got the insulation at the top to hold the heat in. And this will absorb a lot of the moisture from the hive. We've sold these for years. They're on sale now, and they really do help your bees get through the winter. But before you put that on, these really shouldn't go on much before November or December, even January. They're for winter. Right now, these are very popular. We also invented this, the Burns Bees feeding system. It goes on top of your hive during a dearth, and you put it right above the brood nest area or your top box, and then you put another shell, like a super or a deep, on top with nothing in it. It's just a protective shell, and then you can feed sugar water through these holes, or a pollen patty through this, and then you put the top cover on top. So this is great for fall feeding. So keep these two items in mind. I'll put links down below in the description. Oh, I can't tell you how important it is to feed your bees. It's going to make all the difference in the world on your bees getting through the winter, how well you feed them and allow them to actually make more bees of winter physiology. Feeding them through this system here in the fall will allow the queen to keep laying really well. And the more she lays in the fall, those bees are going to be bees that live 4 to 6 months. And so those will be bees that you will see her lay eggs in October, even September, but October, November. And when those bees mature, they will live 6 months, 4 to 6 months. So those bees in October, you'll see in the spring. They'll be the bees that help your colonies stay warm and make it through the winter. So it's so important to feed them. If you don't feed your bees, I know some of you are saying, well, I got honey supers on there, won't that be enough? Boy, I don't know. Go ahead and feed them. The more you feed them, the safer you are at them surviving the winter. So don't forget to do that. So important. Well, thanks again for watching the video. Good to be with you again. I hope you enjoyed the videos and coffee time. And please subscribe. We're trying for 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. And so we're approaching 45,000. I appreciate that so much. Hit the subscribe button below. Click on the bell so you'll be notified each time I make a new video. And I'll see you next time. Now, some of this isn't going to work. Honey, this is a whole thing of honey here that's almost never been uncapped. I must have just forgot to squeeze it out. So I'll set that aside and save that, maybe eat that for breakfast.